Welcome back to The Jump. We're debuting a new segment today because the coaching carousel is in full throttle and we need to get caught up on the latest. There are currently 5 head coaching vacancies around the NBA. So without further ado, it is time for Where in the World is Windy?
Well, Rachel, I'm in Philadelphia. The production staff here has provided no cheesesteaks, but the Sixers have 2 major candidates for their very interesting job opening. Mike D'Antoni, who was here as an assistant before he went to Houston to become the head coach, is a strong candidate, as well as Tyronn Lue, who is, I am told, very interested in this job. He wants the challenge of coaching Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, just like he wanted the challenge of Kyrie and LeBron James in Cleveland. Now, I am told that the ownership, Josh Harris and David Blitzer, are very involved in this opening, and whoever gets this job will be heavily, their influence will be heavily on.
Those are 2 marquee names, Ty Lue and Mike D'Antoni. Richard, what do you think?
Look, I think T. Lue and D'Antoni. Now, the one thing about D'Antoni is you think about the big, he's not very big on bigs, if you will, and Joel Embiid is really the cornerstone of their franchise.
So is that a pro or a con that Embiid is on the roster if you're him?
I'm not saying D'Antoni can do a lot of things. We've seen what he's done with Amari Stoudemire, even though he's a little bit different. So he's not like anti-big, but I think coming off what he just came off of in Houston, going full small ball, I would be a little bit more nervous if I was Joel Embiid.
Interesting. All right. Where are we off to next, Brian?
Well, Rachel, I am now in New Orleans on Bourbon Street,
Brian,
where they're selling Jell-O shots for $10 just a few feet away here. I can bring you back some if you want. Now, New Orleans is interesting. They are very interested in Tyronn Lue, which would reunite David Griffin, general manager, with the guy he won a championship with in Cleveland. But they may have to wait on what happens in Philadelphia. So David Griffin is in a holding pattern, taking a look at what happens with Ty Lue. If he can't get Ty Lue, then he'll move on to other candidates. But he thinks the Ty Lue Zion Williamson match could be very attractive. We'll see how that develops.
You guys know New Orleans is my favorite city in America, and I actually think this is a hugely attractive coaching gig. Richard, do you agree? Pros, cons of this one?
I agree. This is hugely attractive. The only difference is, and I know Ty Lue has the ability, but I know that, he never had to develop talent the same way he did. That's why I think the Philadelphia one is even more intriguing, because those are established players. These are still players that you got to continue to grow and nurture. And that's just something we haven't seen Tyronn Lue done. He hasn't done that yet. But I know he has the ability to do it. But that's why I think the Philly one is most intriguing for T. Lue.
I mean, look, you've got such high talent guys there. Zion Williamson to start, but Brandon Ingram, you've got, Lonzo Ball. You've got, the list goes on and on with Drew Holiday. I don't know if J.J. Redick's going back there. You got a lot of guys, a lot of tools if you get that job. I think it's extremely, extremely attractive. And by the way, they didn't make the playoffs this year. So if you just make the playoffs next season, win, that makes that an attractive job, too. All right, Brian Windhorst, where are we going next?
Well, Rachel, I am now in a drone over the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so that must mean I'm talking about the Indiana Pacers. Now, if you can believe it, the Indiana Pacers have interviewed more than 20 candidates for this opening over Zoom, and now they're scheduling second interviews, and there's still a long list. I have heard that guys like Dave Yeager, guys like assistant in Milwaukee, Darvin Ham, 76ers assistant Ime Udoka are among the guys who are getting an opportunity here. And, of course, our colleague here, our own colleague at ESPN, Chauncey Billups, in the mix as well.
All right. So aside from the fact that you get to be around fast cars, apparently, Richard, what are the pros and cons of the Pacers head coaching?
Well, look, all of these jobs have a lot of cons and a lot of pros. Well, this is the thing about Indiana. You're not sure what Victor Oladipo's situation is. They're coming off a situation where they made it to the postseason again, but, Nate McMillan, for whatever reason, couldn't make management happy there. This is not a place that you're going to attract a ton of free agents, so you really have to build from within and develop talent. So, you have a very good team, but I don't know what your cap is there.
Interesting. I'm very curious. 20 candidates.
Wow.
Got to narrow down. All right, Brian, where are we going next?
Well, Rachel, I am in Bricktown, which means I'm in Oklahoma City. The river doesn't go anywhere, but don't tell anybody that. The Thunder are beginning to look at a rebuild which is one of the reasons why Billy Donovan did not stay. So the expectation is this could be a first-time head coach. Some of the names that I have heard, David Vanterpool, who's an assistant with the Timberwolves, Adrian Griffin, who's been a candidate for jobs over the years, recently with Toronto. And watch out for a sleeper candidate, Will Hardy, assistant with the San Antonio Spurs. A lot of people are very high on him, very young, 32 years old.
All right, so rebuilding, Richard, but what are the pros and cons of the Thunder beyond just the idea of developing or maybe getting your first job if you're an assistant?
Well, that's the thing. You see the writing is on the wall. So whoever's going to get this first-time head coaching job, you imagine that they're not going to win. They have a ton of draft picks. They have a lot that they're going to be able to build. And so the idea is that you can build quickly. You should be able to build quickly with the amount of draft picks and young quality talent. But that, again, means the writing's probably on the wall for Chris Paul and maybe even Steven Adams. So, you're going to lose. Whatever you see when you take the job is not what you're going to get.
Well, I know that you mentioned David Vanterpool. I know a lot of his former players swear by him, so I'm sure they'll be getting lots of endorsements coming in if they're really interviewing him. I would say that whoever takes that job has to basically make a deal with Sam Presti and say, whatever the win-loss record is for the next 2 or 3 years, it's not on me.
Yep.
Not on me. All right, I think I know where we're headed next. Brian.
Well, Rachel, I am in mission control at NASA, which means we're talking about the Houston Rockets. Daryl Morey was just over my shoulder at a computer, but he went to sharpen his pencil. He is known for a while. There was a good chance he was going to have a coaching opening. Keep an eye on former Rocket, a guy who won a championship here, Sam Cassell, maybe getting his first coaching look off the LA Clippers staff. And if not him, one of the favorites, one of the guys sleeping is our colleague here at ESPN. Former Rockets coach Jeff Van Gundy in the mix for this job. Would be very different than Mike D'Antoni, but this personnel is built to play fast, so we'd see how he would handle that.
JBG never left Houston, still lives there. I know still very connected to the organization. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.